You asked and I delivered. Remember the game-changing CPU versus CPU sliders from Madden 23 that you all loved? Buckle up because I'm back with the ultimate and most realistic sliders for Madden 24. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this video. Stay tuned and let's elevate your CPU versus CPU franchise experience. So we actually changed quite a bit as opposed to last year's sliders and settings, and there's actually some additional settings. If you happen to miss the video where I actually went over all the actual updated features and new features in franchise mode video, then make sure you watch this video after this by clicking the I or that video will actually be pinned down below, either in the description or in the comment section. So stay on the lookout for that. But again, we're going to go over the league settings first because again, there's some new settings in here that we actually changed, and we changed some of the old ones. So going right in, again, this is for a CPU versus CPU franchise. You're not going to be playing these games. And again, the best skill level to play on is All Pro. All Madden is again very unrealistic, especially with CPU versus CPU. The game style you want is simulation. We like playing on 12-minute quarters. You could put it up to 13-minute quarters, but we find 12-minute quarters actually work the best because it's kind of like simulates a real game. It's not too long and not too short, and just enough time to simulate that realistic gameplay. Minimum play clock we have at 20. Again, the offensive cooldown, the play clock cooldowns, all of those do not matter. Moving right along, we have the dynamic momentum home field advantage on. Again, I think there's personal preference. If you really wanted to, you can have that off, because I know last year I liked to turn it off just because it was kind of broken where it could be a turnover, but then the turnover gets overturned, but that home field team would still get all of that momentum for the overturned turnover. So if you want, you can kind of turn it off. For CPU versus CPU, I really don't think it matters that much. We have all of these experiences on manual. We like to do everything ourselves, especially the reorder depth chart. I went over that feature. This is the best feature because last year I hated it. If we did any roster transactions, roster moves, injuries, anything, our depth chart would actually automatically reorder, and we would have to fix it like almost every game or every few games. This makes it so you will never have to do that again. Your depth chart is going to be the depth chart that you set. Of course, if there's injuries, you're probably going to have to move players around based off of who you want. But again, they're not going to reorder, which is amazing in my opinion. We have auto progress players and auto progress talents off. We like to do that ourselves. And of course, tutorial pop-ups. If you're new to the game, you can keep those on. I like having those off. Moving on into the commissioner settings. Again, we have pretty much the same thing. Trade deadline on, trade type enable all. Trade difficulty, we want that on normal. We don't want to give ourselves too much of an easy time or too much of a hard time. And I honestly like how trades have been this year with the 6 trade slots. I think it's realistic and offers more realistic trades. Free agency motivation impact, I have it on normal, but I was also thinking of actually turning this to kind of low, just because sometimes I really do feel like the motivation kind of aspect of that kind of impact the re-sign decision a little bit too much. But at the moment we have that on normal. Practice squad stealing, we have that on off. Relocation settings we have at everybody, just because we want people to relocate. Now you have all the relocation options at the beginning of the season, and everything takes into effect immediately, which is kind of dope. We have the staff talent cost modifier on slow this year. Last year we had it on normal, but like last year in franchises I would stockpile, so by like the second or third season I would have everything fully maxed out. Having it at slow just actually allows us to actually dev up the coaches and head coach and all those talent trees much slower, so it's more realistic. Injury on, practice injury we have off, and progressive fatigue we have off, just because last year it was very cheesy. Just keep it off in my opinion. Prospect storylines we have on. I hope they added storylines in this year's game. I know last year the storylines kind of worked in a way where you could actually go in the news section and find out about different players. Draft timer I have off. I could just send the draft. Fantasy draft order doesn't matter. This isn't a fantasy draft league. And for the free agent negotiations, this is something new too. For CPU versus CPU, I have it at 10 for day 1, unlimited for day 2, and unlimited for day 3. This is because 1, I want to be able to actually negotiate with different players we're going instead of being capped at 5. And for CPU versus CPU leagues, it's normally only you or a few of your friends. I like having it on owners because now you actually have to manage your funds. Whereas if you're a coach, you can just spend as much funds as you want because it's not coming out of your budget and you don't have to manage that. So having it on owners actually makes it more of a challenge. and is more realistic in my opinion. And that's pretty much all for these. These are all the same as last year. Development, trait regression, breakout scenarios. All of this is the same. You don't have to worry about anything. Minimum roster size I have at 48. Madden recommends 51 for multi-user leagues, but for CPU versus CPU leagues, especially with friends, 48, 49, honestly not that big of a deal in my opinion. And I have field roster on. This just makes it so sometimes you don't have those minimum number of roster spots. Instead of you having to actually go in and like sign extra random players, if you don't have at least 49 people on your roster by the start of the season, they're just going to sign random players or fill up your practice squad for you. So now moving into the actual league sliders, this is what you guys are here for. Hopefully you actually listened to the first half of this because it was very informative and very important as well. But these are the most important. I know last year player skill didn't matter because again, you're not playing it. But in my personal preference, I actually just set both of these to the same value just in case. But I know a lot of times it's just for the CPU skill. So honestly, again, guys, you can kind of double check. But the player skill is exactly the same as CPU skill. So we're just going to go down. We have quarterback accuracy at 40 at the moment. Pass blocking at 65. Wide receiver catching we put at 61 because I realized that a lot of players were dropping catches for some reason. Like Michael Pittman has 92 catching, 93 spec catch, and he would miss wide open catches, like multiple a game, and that's just not gonna happen. Run blocking we actually turned down from last year to 60, and it's good at the moment. We turned this down just because in this year's game, Madden 24, run blocking is actually really good in itself already. Last year it was actually kind of bad, like it was hard to run. This year is super easy to run, so we put it at 60 and we kind of like how they're going. Fumbles we moved down to 45. I'll probably move these down a little bit more as I lab. You could probably try to turn this down maybe to 35 if you want. Last year we had it at 70 and we realized that for some reason for the fumbles, the higher it was, the less fumbles that happened. So we're trying to turn it down to actually increase the fumbles because realistically, like I haven't seen really any fumbles in the games that I've watched. So I actually might probably turn this down live to maybe 35 in my opinion, just to see how that works. Pass defense reaction time we still have at 55. Interceptions we actually moved up to 35 because again, I don't like the DBs just intercepting everything, but they have been dropping a lot of interceptions, which is good in my opinion because again, you know what they call a DB because it's a wide receiver that can catch, not my words. Pass coverage we have at 65 and tackling we have at 65. These have all been really good in my opinion, so I wouldn't change anything. Field goal power we still have at 75. Field goal accuracy we actually moved up to 82. This is because we've noticed that even for really good kickers, for some reason in this game still they make kickers actually not kick the full power or full potential, and it'll be wide right. At least with 82, we've actually noticed that they're like, if they miss, it's not a horrible miss, especially for a real good kicker, and it like hits the crossbar or something. So we've been liking that. Punt power 55, punt accuracy 55, and kickoff power 55, all the same. Injuries we have at 15, fatigue at 60, and minimum player threshold at 40. Those have all been good in my opinion. Injuries we have at 15, like I said, because like honestly, again, there's been injuries and it's been like realistic injuries, but it hasn't been like OD injuries where like you get so many, but it's realistic. It's football. Players are gonna get injured, and in my realistic CPU versus CPU franchises, I'm not gonna lie, I want to see injuries. Like I want plays to actually go down, and I want to actually have to manage that. Like I want to have to decide, okay, what am I going to do? Who am I going to actually put in to actually replace this star wide receiver who's carrying us and winning this game? How am I going to replace this halfback? That's what I like to see out of franchises. So 15 has been like a real good spot for us at the moment. And for the penalty side of things, I may eventually tune these up in the game. If I change anything, I'll definitely be doing another update video throughout the year. A couple of them because this is just the start of the year. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video and you don't miss an update. But we have offside at 80 to 99, false start at 80 to 99, holding at 95 to 99, face mask at 50, defensive pass interference at 45 out of 99, and illegal blocking the back 50, roughing the passer at 50. Those don't get called that much honestly anymore. They usually get called a lot last year, but I really haven't seen that many roughing the passes. And again, I may change up some of these penalties throughout the year because I kind of want to see more of these. Like it's a game of football and you know they love calling flags, but again, it's also Madden and Madden doesn't call flags. So we're still trying to find penalty sliders that actually like kind of call it at a balanced rate in this year's draft. But that's pretty much all of the actual sliders that we use. So hopefully this video actually helped you guys. As you know, I love CPU versus CPU franchises, and I love helping you guys because I know there's a lot of people that actually love these CPU versus CPU franchises. Like, I watch all these games, bro. Like, I just actually put one on when there's not actual football on and do things around the house, edit a video, do YouTube stuff, or like work or something like that. So I hope this video helped. Like I said, if you guys actually happen to miss the last video where I went over all the franchise updates and new features that Madden actually added into this year's game, click the video on the left. And if you wanted to actually know how to manage your salary cap, get the most out of your salary cap, and learn how to actually like correctly sign contracts so you don't run out of money in Madden 24, you can click the video on the right. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comment section. Leave a like and subscribe. I love you guys to the moon and back. I'm out. Peace.
Sub to Cosmos, best YouTuber in the world. Sub to Cosmos, best YouTuber in the world. Yeah, great content back to back. Bitch dropping like flapjacks. Like, comment, need feedback. 1K subs, appreciate that. For a moolah, stay on track. Keep on shining my stars. I love you to the moon and back.